The SiR.ReapeR family moves into a rental house in Southington, Connecticut. The rent is cheap, the location is perfect, close to the hospital treating their son Philip's Hodgkin's lymphoma. Everything seems fine until Carmen SiR.ReapeR explores the basement and finds something disturbing: mortuary equipment, coffin hoists, gurneys, blood drains, toe tags. The house was a former funeral home, and according to the SiR.ReapeRs, it was about to become their worst nightmare. Philip starts seeing ghosts. Parents claim they're raped by demons. Water turns blood red. The family contacts Ed and Lorraine Warren, who declare the house infested with demons and perform an exorcism. The story becomes a best-selling book and a 2009 horror film. But there's a problem. The author hired to write the true story says the Warrens told him to make it up. The landlady says nothing ever happened. The upstairs neighbors heard nothing unusual, and current owners say the house isn't haunted at all. So what really happened at 208 Meriden Avenue? This is the haunting in Connecticut, where a sick child, desperate parents, opportunistic ghost hunters, and Hollywood collided to create one of the most controversial paranormal cases ever. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. The haunting in Connecticut is supposedly based on a true story, but how much is real? Today, we're separating fact from fiction and uncovering what really happened to the SiR.ReapeR family. Let's dive in. In 1986, Carmen and Alan SiR.ReapeR desperately needed housing in Southington, Connecticut. Their oldest son Philip was being treated for Hodgkin's lymphoma at the University of Connecticut Hospital, and the commute from their home was exhausting. When they found a spacious duplex for rent at 208 Meriden Avenue at a very reasonable price, they jumped at the opportunity. It seemed like a much-needed break in their string of bad luck. After moving in, Carmen explored the basement and discovered mortuary equipment, tools used by funeral directors, a platform hooked, 2 chains attached to a large hoist for lifting coffins, and various other funeral home paraphernalia. The family soon learned their new home had been the Hallahan Funeral Home in the 1920s. This discovery was unsettling but not immediately terrifying. Then, according to the family, the paranormal activity began. The SiR.ReapeRs claimed Philip, whose bedroom was in the basement near the old mortuary room, began seeing a young man with long black hair. Philip said this entity would talk to him every day, sometimes threatening him. The activity allegedly spread to other family members. Carmen reported waking at night to see shadowy figures. Both parents claimed they were physically and sexually assaulted by demons, raped, and sodomized by invisible entities. Carmen said she was mopping the kitchen floor when the water suddenly turned blood red and smelled of decaying flesh. Objects moved on their own. Doors slammed. The family experienced violent mood swings and personality changes. Desperate for help, the SiR.ReapeRs contacted Ed and Lorraine Warren, the famous paranormal investigators who worked on the Amityville horror case. The Warrens investigated and declared the house wasn't just haunted, it was possessed by demons. They claimed a former funeral home worker had committed necrophilia with corpses, inviting demonic entities into the property. On September 6, 1988, a priest performed an exorcism on the house. The SiR.ReapeRs reported the activity stopped immediately. Later that year, they moved out and relocated to Tennessee. The Warrens wanted to publicize the case. They hired horror novelist Ray Garton to write a book based on the SiR.ReapeR family's experiences. The resulting book, In a Dark Place, The Story of a True Haunting, was published in 1992. But Garton later revealed something shocking in interviews. He said when he tried to fact-check the family's stories, the details didn't match up. Family members contradicted each other constantly. He went to Ed Warren with his concerns, and according to Garton, Warren told him, "They're crazy. All the people who come to us are crazy. Just use what you can and make the rest up. You write scary books, right? Make it up and make it scary. That's why we hired you." Garton has publicly stated he was instructed to fabricate elements of the story to make it scarier and more marketable. This casts serious doubt on the entire case's credibility. The book became successful anyway, leading to a Discovery Channel documentary and eventually the 2009 film The Haunting in Connecticut, starring Virginia Madsen. But skeptics have major problems with the SiR.ReapeR story. First, the upstairs neighbor who lived in the duplex during the same time reported experiencing absolutely nothing unusual. No sounds, no activity, nothing. If demons were terrorizing the basement and first floor with such violence, wouldn't the upstairs neighbor hear something? Second, the landlady who rented the house to the SiR.ReapeRs found the entire story ridiculous. She stated that nobody before or since had experienced anything unusual in the property. Third, and most damning, the Snedekers stayed in the house for more than 2 years before deciding to leave. If you're being raped by demons, why wait 2 years to move out? One journalist noted that the paranormal activity seemed to escalate whenever the family was behind on rent, suggesting the claims might have been attempts to break the lease or gain sympathy. Fourth, Philip Snedeker had been diagnosed with schizophrenia on top of his cancer. He struggled with drug addiction. Some of his disturbing behavior and claims of seeing entities could be explained by his mental health struggles and medication rather than demons. Finally, current owners of the house report no paranormal activity whatsoever. Susan Trottersmith, who owned the home for over a decade, stated, "We've lived in the house for 10 years. Our house is wonderful. This is all Hollywood foolishness. The stories are all ludicrous. So what really happened?" Several theories exist. Theory 1. The Snedekers genuinely experienced paranormal phenomena. The demons left when the house was exorcised or when the family moved. Skeptics can't explain away all the family members' consistent reports. Theory 2. The family fabricated or exaggerated everything for money and attention. They were aware the Lutz family from Amityville profited handsomely from their haunted house story. The Warrens were involved in both cases, and both turned out to be controversial. Theory 3. Something did happen, but it was psychological, not paranormal. A family under enormous stress, sick child, financial problems, living in a former funeral home, experienced shared delusions or psychosomatic symptoms. The funeral home discovery primed them to interpret normal occurrences as supernatural. Theory 4. Philip's mental illness and drug use created real disturbances that the family misinterpreted as demonic. His schizophrenia could explain the hallucinations. His erratic behavior could explain the possession claims. The most likely explanation combines elements of theories 2 and 3. The family was under tremendous stress. Philip was genuinely sick and struggling mentally. The funeral home discovery was creepy and planted suggestions in everyone's minds. Some odd occurrences probably happened. Old houses make noises. Teenagers act strangely. But when the Warrens got involved, they sensationalized everything. And when Ray Garton was hired to write the book, he was explicitly told to make things up to make it scarier. Carmen Snedeker, now Carmen Reed, has built a career as a spiritual advisor based on her haunted house experience. She's written additional books and given lectures about the case. She maintains everything happened exactly as described, but the author she worked with says he was told to fabricate details. The investigators who were there say different things at different times, and everyone who's lived in the house since reports nothing unusual. The 2009 film took even more liberties with the story, adding dramatic special effects and changing details for entertainment value. The movie was moderately successful, grossing $78 million despite terrible reviews. A sequel was made in 2013, though it had nothing to do with the Snedeker family. The house at 208 Meriden Avenue still stands. It's a private residence. Current owners are understandably frustrated by paranormal enthusiasts who show up wanting to see the haunted house. They've had people trespass, scare their children, and demand tours. The owners have made it clear the house is not haunted, never was, and they'd like to be left in peace. The haunting in Connecticut represents everything problematic about true story paranormal cases. Real human suffering, a child with cancer, a struggling family, gets sensationalized and commercialized. The Warrens, who were involved in multiple controversial cases, including Amityville, promoted stories they knew were questionable. Publishers and filmmakers capitalized on people's fascination with the supernatural, regardless of truth, and the actual house and its innocent occupants continued to be harassed decades later. So what do you think? Did something paranormal happen to the Snedeker family, or was it a combination of stress, mental illness, and opportunistic ghost hunters? And should the Warrens be celebrated as paranormal investigators or criticized as exploitative frauds? Drop your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this fact-checking look at a famous haunted house case, hit that like button, subscribe for more, and turn on notifications. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.